So now that we've looked at some of the different ways that we can create responsive websites, we're going to do a deep dive into one of those first methods through the use of media queries. And media queries are actually pretty simple to understand, as you've seen before. Essentially, instead of the selector, we have the @media keyword. And here you can define what's called a breakpoint. This essentially says that at this particular width, anything that is less than or equal to 600 pixels, then you should use this styling in here instead. For example, change the H1 to have a smaller font size when it's on a mobile phone instead of a full width desktop website. Let's look at some demo code. If we have a div here that's completely empty, but we give it a height and a width and we change it to a blue background color, but then we go ahead and add a media query. As you saw in the demo website in the last lesson, we can change the div's height and width when it's in this media queries brackets. This is saying when the website is a lot narrower, such as on a mobile phone, we should actually have a smaller square. So instead of 200 by 200 pixels, maybe it should be 100 by 100 pixels instead, so that it makes better use of the screen real estate and it's scaled to fit to that screen size. We're using that media query max width in order to define any screen size that is 600 pixels or below. So anything that is smaller or equal to 600 pixels, then it should have this particular kind of styling, and we provide an override to the default styling. Now, alternatively, you can use a different keyword here. You can use the min width, which is the minimum width. And by changing that from max to min, essentially you're going the other direction of responsiveness. So you're saying anything that is from 600 pixels upwards, then we should have a different styling. So you're basically targeting bigger screens with this min width. So if you think about the total possible size of a website, so from 0 to say, 2,400 pixels, if you have a screen that is, say, only 600 pixels right here, then you can use the max width to target this direction. But if you want to target all the screens that are bigger, then you could use the min width to target in this direction. So you're essentially targeting different screen sizes and providing different styles for those different screen sizes. Now, you can also combine different breakpoints to target something that is a specific size. So in this case, you're saying anything that is bigger than 600 pixels using this particular line here. So minimum width for this style is 600 pixels, and then maximum width for this style is 900 pixels. So anything that's less than 900 pixels. And in between these 2 points is where your specific style is going to be applied in here. So this means the screens which are between 600 and 900 will be targeted using this combination system by adding that "and" keyword between these 2 breakpoints. Now, if you flip that around and you change the smaller size to a max width, then you're taking a different approach. You're saying anything that is less than 600 pixels and anything that is greater than 900 pixels, on those screen sizes, let's apply these styles. So you can combine things in many different ways. You can chop it, change it, however you like. But the important thing is to understand this wording, max width and min width. The maximum width where this style will be applied and the minimum width where this style will be applied. So when you read it that way, it becomes much simpler to understand. In addition to max width and min width, You might also see this screen keyword being used, which is not really necessary by default because it's going to apply it to all screens. But if we think about the alternative to screen is a keyword called print. And what this allows you to do is to use the media query to target only when your website is being printed and to give it a different layout. I don't normally recommend adding the screen keyword if you're just writing a normal media query, but when you do see it out there in the wild, then you'll know what that means. It's just saying targeting screens or targeting print. For more on media queries and all of the different properties that you can change using media queries, head over to the developer docs and take a look at using media queries. You can see under the syntax section, there are a lot of things that we've mentioned, such as orientation or device height, device width, or height and width, and targeting different media types, or targeting different features. And there's a lot more that you can do with media queries, and you can have very complex media queries. But most of the time, you're going to be using pretty simple media queries such as max width and min width, and you won't use a lot of these other features. But as always, it's good to be aware that they exist. So have a quick read of this and see if there's anything else there that you want to pick up. And once you're done, let's go ahead and try an exercise and practice what we learned. Open up the index.html for the starting file that you've just extracted. And you can see I've got some to-dos here. Here I've included some of the common breakpoints for the different devices that you're probably going to want to target. Mobile devices tend to be between 319 and 400 pixels. iPads and tablets tend to have this kind of screen width range, and then laptops and desktops. I want you to create media queries for this web page so that in these different sizes, the background color of the body will be different. So by default, I've set it to an aquamarine, and you can see it just looks like this. It's a very simple website, but I want you to be able to change the width of this website, such as when you right click on solution and show preview, you can see it actually has different colors depending on how we change it. And if we take it out of VS Code and into the browser, then you can see there's actually 4 different possible colors. You've got desktop, which is the sea green, and then you've got laptop, which is lime green, iPads, tablets, this kind of powder blue, and finally mobile devices, which has this salmon orange or red. So you can do that. Now, another way of testing out the responsiveness using the Chrome Developer Tools is to open up the Chrome Developer Tools. If you don't remember how to do that, remember you can go to here and then go to More Tools, and then you can go to Developer Tools. That's how you open up this pane. And if you click on this little button right here, then you can change the dimensions to, for example, an iPhone SE, or to an iPhone 12 or an iPad Air. And it doesn't really do a lot of the bigger screens, but you can change it to responsive, and then you can change this size however you like, and you can also type it in here if you want. So this is a really neat way of testing out responsiveness in Chrome. Pause the video and go ahead and complete this exercise. All right, so let's take a look at the solution code together. Now, notice how essentially all we need is just 4 different media queries. For the first one, I said that mobile devices are usually between 319 and 480 pixels. Now, you could simply just target a max width of 480, or if you really want to, you can also have a minimum width in there so that you actually are specific about that mobile device size. So we could put 319 right in here, but normally you're not really going to display your website on anything that's less than mobile size, right? Like there's not that many things that are narrower than 320 pixels. So you could do it either way, doesn't really matter. But this is one option. Now, the next breakpoint we've got is the iPad and tablet size between 480 and 120. So we're using that min width and max width combo that you see right here to find that particular size and turn it powder blue. And then we do the same for the laptop size. And finally, we simply define a min width for our desktop so that anything that's larger than 1601 pixels gets a color of sea green. Hope that was easy enough, and if you had any problems, have a look at the solution code, but most importantly, it should work when you test it out. That's all for media queries. In the next lesson, we've got a final project for this section, so head over there once you're ready.